I traveled from Nigeria to Ghana for the very first time, and I'm going to be sharing with you my cost breakdown, how much this trip cost me, how much I spent on transportation, feeding, accommodation, logistics, and also sharing with you some tips that you should know ahead of time before you go to Ghana from Nigeria. So just to give you like a little background, this trip to Ghana was very last minute, and we decided to go on a West African tour where we went from Ghana to Togo, Lome, to Benin Republic, and back to Nigeria. But we spent the highest time in Ghana. We spent a full week in Ghana, and we flew from Lagos, Nigeria to Ghana, and we flew with Airpeace, and it cost us 283,000 naira to fly from Nigeria to Ghana. Now, a trick for you, we ended up missing our flight because our flight was by 7 a.m. And when you travel like internationally, which I have traveled internationally, but I just feel like, I mean, it was Ghana, so I don't think it was going to apply, right? And again, where we were coming from was a bit far, and we had like, hitches on the road, and that ended up affecting us. We ended up missing our flights, and we had to pay an extra 120,000 naira for us to reschedule our flight later that evening. It was crazy. So if you're looking at flying from Nigeria to Ghana, please make sure that you're at the airport at least 2 hours before your takeoff time. Ideally, you should be there 3 hours before your takeoff time. So if your flight is by 7 a.m., you should be at the airport by 4 a.m. That is the ideal time. And my best advice is for you to travel in even numbers. So rather than you being one or three people going on this trip, you guys should be like 2 or 4 or 6 going on this trip. That way you can split the bills and it's cheaper for you, right? The reason why I said this is because when it comes to like the hotels or the shortlets they're going to stay, they have like a maximum number of people that can stay in a room, which in most times is just 2 people, right? So now imagine that you guys are three. You still have to like pay 2 rooms as against only per four, where you just pay 2 rooms and then each person is paying half the cost of a room, right? So it's very, very important that you travel as a group if you have people to travel with, but don't wait on people for you to live your life. If there's nobody that is ready and serious about traveling, please take that trip and they're going to have the best time of your life. So moving on, for the resort, I spent 157,600 for 2 nights, and that was because I was sharing a room with my sister. We are upgraded, so we had initially paid for like a beachfront facing room, but the resort upgraded us to like a 2 bedroom apartment villa with our own swimming pool, and it was just mind-blowing. While we were at the resort, we didn't need to pay for any activities. The resort came with breakfast, there was swimming, there was staying activities by the beach, there was archery, and we just kind of like wanted to relax. Plus the apartment came with a jacuzzi, so it was an elite experience. So after our stay at the resort, we moved to Accra, where we spent 4 nights at a 2 bedroom shortlet, which is what I would advise you. If you are going in a group of 4, you guys can just get like a 2 bedroom shortlet, so you have like two per room, and it's going to be way cheaper. The cost of the shortlet for myself for the 4 nights we spent was 110,000. So now imagine if we were just like 3 people and then we had to split that money. Of course, it was going to cost more. So I paid 110,000 for my 4 nights at the shortlet, and it was amazing. We opted for a shortlet because we wanted to be able to cook our food. We wanted to have like an entire apartment for ourselves. We wanted to be able to cater for ourselves without having like to need different things. And we love like the independence that you get when you stay at a shortlet. Plus, it was cheaper. When I was doing the research, I saw a lot of other options, but this was like the best options for the quality of place that we stayed. It wasn't so luxurious, but it was decent, and we enjoyed our stay at that place. So for food, I'm going to divide it into 2 different segments, and that's because we went to like high-end restaurants to eat, which is not a must if you're visiting Accra for a vacation, and also like the cost of food for like our daily feeding and stuff like that. So in the shortlets, we didn't have like breakfast included, so we had to sort ourselves. We went to the mall where we bought like food stuff, and we were able to cook our own meals by ourselves. And also when we were traveling, we came with like some food stuff, like we came with like indomie, we came with spaghetti, so we didn't need to pay money again for that. And we also came with like some provisions too, so that kind of helped us like control our expenses. In total, I spent 100,000 naira when it came to food, in terms of like our lunch, dinner, and also like other bites and small snacks. Then when it came to like the restaurants, we went to like Kozo restaurant where we had an amazing time. We went to celebrate my sister's birthday, and we spent a lot of money. Kozo is very, very expensive, I must tell you that. And I think my bill came to like a total of 50,000 naira at Kozo. And on another day, we went for brunch at Sandbox Beach Club, where I had like the oxtail stew. If you are ever going to be in Sandbox, please, I recommend you take the oxtail stew. Unfortunately, I didn't like the way they steamed their rice. I guess that's the way they steam their rice in Ghana. It wasn't, I didn't like it, so I struggled a bit. But the stew was amazing, and it made me not to feel the difference with the rice that much. So while at Sandbox, my bill came to like I think 52,000 or thereabout. That was how much I spent at Sandbox. Now moving on to the next thing, which is logistics. Total money spent in logistics was 100,000 naira, and that was because we only used Ubers for our logistics throughout our stay in Accra. We didn't use the public transportation services, and we went to like different locations. In fact, we even went to like Cape Coast Castle, which is like 4 hours away from Accra. It is very, very far, very, very far, but it is worth the experience. But it is very, very far. So please plan yourself for that. And we had to like, book a driver for the entire day to take us there and bring us back. So that also ate deep into the expenses that we had for logistics. Moving on to the next, which is our itinerary, we had a couple of activities that we did. And first on the list is we visited the Black Square Independence Gate. It had like a free entrance, so we didn't need to pay any money for visiting there. Then next up, we went to the Kwame Nkrumah's mausoleum, I think, and the entrance fee cost 100 cedis, which is approximately 12,500. Where we had like a tour guide and we had like a tour throughout the facility and what it was like. It was very enriching because whenever I travel, I like to know about the history of the people I traveled to. So that was very, very enlightening and I really loved the experience. After that, we ended our day by going for lunch at a local restaurant. We went to Yon restaurant. Then on another day, we went to the Cape Coast Castle. While we were there, the tours costed us, I think, like 100 cedis, which was like 12,500 naira. And it's very far, but it was really, really worth it. For the rest of our activities, we went to like a restaurant, we went to a sandbox beach, we went to spa, and I think I've already talked about like these expenses. My total trip came down to approximately 718,000 naira, which in dollars is like $448. But bear in mind that you might not be spending this much because when I traveled, I flew from Nigeria to Ghana. So imagine that I only had to pay 80,000 as against paying 283,000 naira because I flew. Of course, it would have brought my total to like 500 and something. But also bear in mind that I went as a group of four, and also we prioritize like some experiences, so you can have like a lesser budget experience without having to spend as much as we did, without having to stay at the resort we stayed at and do some of the activities that ended up costing us a lot of money. Overall, I enjoyed my trip to Ghana, and I think that you can take a solo trip to Ghana, and I felt really safe in Ghana, and I really, really loved my experience, and I see myself coming back to Ghana again for the second time. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. If you've traveled to Ghana, let me know what your experience has been like. If you're a Ghanaian and you've been to Nigeria, let us know what your own experience has been like. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Love you.